Good morning, everybody. Thanks for allowing us to attend the Greater Palm Beach Chamber of Commerce. My name is Frank Madoni with Wrights Impact Window and Door, and my title is Director of Sales, but I consider myself the sales leadership coach for our team. We've got a great team expanding all the way from Melbourne all the way down into the Keys and all the way over to Sarasota. So we have three regional offices supporting the area. I'm going to make this more about Impact Windows and Doors, but I just want to let you know a little bit about our company. We've been in business for more than 48 years. Last year we sold more than $41,500,000 in Impact Windows and Doors. That's roughly about 2,600 satisfied, ticket-related, happy customers. So we're welcome here to expand our business and continue on. We do have a liking to this area. Actually, my mother's in the area here at Grand Villa Assisted Living, and then Matt's moved up here. He's one of our senior product specialists and been doing a great job for us. He's one of our top salespeople in the area, and he now has a 7th-month-old in the area. So we're looking forward to him to continue the growth of his family and also the growth of our expansion up here into this Melbourne area. Little myths about Impact Windows and Doors. I want to talk a little bit about that. But there's a lot of myths out there with these. They're not going to make your home a submarine, so it's not going to make it super watertight. It does repel the water, keeps it out, keeps it safe, and reduces the wind from a hurricane. It keeps it very, very safe. So there's a lot of myths out there. Also, some terminology that people don't understand is the HVAC. The high velocity hurricane zone is typically the ratings on some of the glass and the doors that meet the specific government municipalities. So there's different thicknesses in glass, there's different frames, you have aluminum and vinyl and things like that. Those are the things that may impact your decision. But when it comes to the municipality and the actual Miami-Dade approved products and the Florida building codes, we are strict guidelines of what we go to and to get permits for a home. So we always meet or exceed those minimum requirements to help protect your home. So there's a lot of different variations of impact windows, but the most important thing is just really understanding that it's there to protect a home through a Category 5 hurricane. So what does that mean? It's going to help you be safe in the home and protect your home through projectiles. They actually are small missile tests that they do to actually verify that the product will sustain a hurricane and meet the requirements of that impact missile. We're going to talk a little bit more about the areas, but the windborne debris is really important here, and where we're at here in Melbourne, we're a little bit higher up, so we're not really going to sustain, and the history shows that we haven't had a 160, 180 mile an hour impact hurricane. Really in this area here is about 110, 120. It's still very, very important that we meet those requirements to protect your homes. So there's different ways that we do that. Through our permitting department, we actually look at the home, look at the variance, look at the zone it's at, and then we try to meet that requirement when we're sourcing the right product for that home. And that has to do with the design pressure, and that's the design pressure to withstand a hurricane. The biggest thing about a myth on a hurricane is the projectile coming in. It's not necessarily that, it's actually the breach of a hole or a home. So what happens is when that breach of that window or that hole or that home or that door is broken, it's the negative pressure. So it's what's going to happen is while that wind is coming around the home or the corners of a home, it's the negative pressure, and that's where things get sucked out. So a lot of times the window has to withstand a higher negative pressure than the positive pressure hitting the window. That's what keeps that window in place and not pulling out. We can talk a lot about that, but I just want to give you some myths and some basically misunderstood things about impact windows. To educate the team a little bit more that's in front of me, this is a piece of impact glass. Kind of a cool piece in the middle. This is the PVB player. This is what makes it impact. So actually there's a piece of glass and a piece of glass that's put together with a PVB, polyvinyl butyl piece of protectant. It's kind of like the film that keeps the glass together. Really, really cool product, really, really interesting. That's how all impact glass is made. Give you a little bit bigger sample. Matt's going to walk around and be my Van of White here and show you a little bit about what that looks like. But just so you guys can really understand, there's different types of glass. So you have impact glass, you have annealed glass, heat strengthened glass, you have a Lowy glass. A lot of different variations of what you might need. There's also insulated glass that's going to help protect and reduce the energy efficiency if that's what's needed in a home. So we can talk a little bit more about some of the things that you're going to gain when you use impact windows and doors. But really the main things that you're going to have is the protection from a storm. The other thing too is it reduces noise. Current windows, typically a home has a 15, 20, 30-year window in it. You'd be surprised at the noise reduction you'll have with an impact window. It's not going to make it silent, but I'll tell you this, when it's 4th of July and the fireworks are going on and the dog's getting crazy in the home, the people that have impact windows don't really experience that dog being rattled. Or somebody driving by with a horn pumping in the middle of the night, or trains in the area, things like that, highway reduction noise. You will notice a noise reduction with impact windows. The other thing too is savings. You really are going to experience some type of energy efficient savings. So whether you're trying to pump hot air in or cold air into your home and keep the hot air out, you will notice a difference with impact glass. It does make a difference, whether you use a vinyl frame or an aluminum frame. So a lot of people think, well, what's the difference between vinyl and aluminum? Well, I'll tell you, it just really depends on the scope of what you want to accomplish in the home. Typically, we sell about 80% of aluminum and about 20% vinyl. Now, they make airplanes out of aluminum, but the vinyl is very strong also. So it's just it's a little bit thicker frame, a heavier frame, but it helps reduce the transmission of heat. So the vinyl window is going to give the ultimate insulation factor, if that's really important to you. Here in middle central Florida and in the southern area, we don't really experience the fluctuations of, say, a 30, 40 degree drop in temperatures, although recently in the history of this area, we've gone into the 30s and 40s. But typically, 90% of the time, we're not experiencing that fluctuation. So the vinyl window is a more superior insulated window. However, aluminum, it does just as good a job. It's just going to give you a little bit more energy efficiency if that's something important to you. The other thing too, I talked about the noise reduction. It's the intruder prevention. It is really, really hard, if everyone got to see that, to break that impact glass. Remember, these are tested with a missile test, small missile test, of somebody shooting a piece of a 2x4 anywhere from 160 miles an hour into the corners of the frame and actually at the glass. And the job is to deflect that 2x4. Well, if you took a hammer and you tried to hit that window, it's really difficult. You will eventually break it, but you're not breaking it really quick. In fact, a few years ago, when the video doorbell came around, it was the coolest thing. We had a customer that had just got installation from us, and their front door was attacked by a predator. Someone tried to break in, and they took the potted plant, and they thought they would break through the front door. Well, about 5 attempts later, that criminal ended up leaving the home. Potted plant was destroyed, and the impact window was fine. It was so nice that the customer shared us with that we went out and just did some minor touch-up from the rest of the home. So again, it does protect you. So you're going to energy efficiency, noise reduction. You're going to have peace of mind when you leave your home, you leave the area, you go out of town. You know that you're going to be safe. You don't have to board up. And then also the expense of having to board up, especially on the second floor of either panels or even shutters, pulling shutters together. Shutters are a great product. It really is. It's more of an economical way to give you protection. However, there's a lot of moving parts on shutters, and eventually those do wear down. So it's nice to have that impact window. And we talked a lot about the noise reduction. I think that's the most thing. Most people will notice the noise reduction when they add impact windows, the energy efficiency. They'll notice that they're not having to go to the thermostat and lower it at night. All of a sudden you're at 74 and you come home and the temperature's at 74. Like, wow, I'm not having to drop the temperature down to cool the home. So those are the things. Jump into a little bit about Wrights impact window and door and what we can do for you. We have dedicated salespeople that are out here 24/7 to help you out. When you do a project with us, we're a little bit different than competitors because we assign a project manager. So you have a single point of contact throughout the project. You have a single point of contact throughout our company. And if that doesn't work for you, you can always call me. But we always try to make it all about the customer and service them. So throughout the project, we explain what we're going to do, what you're going to experience. It is a construction zone. We are taking windows out. We are ripping windows out and putting new windows in. It's a construction site. A lot of people don't realize that. I recommend if you are married to stay married, plan on spending time away from the home during the construction, or at least have a favorite restaurant you want to go to at the end of the day. So we are ripping windows out and put them in, but we do a little bit different. We make sure we button up the home, use zip walls, use the greatest and latest fasteners, stainless steel tap cons, and also we do a nice job of zip walls to keep the dust down as minimum as possible. So again, very, very important that we service you. We want to continue expanding this area, and Matt's one of our key people up here in the Brevard County area. So we welcome you. We're looking forward to servicing you. I know a few of you had some questions. I wanted to keep this quick and tight, but please, any questions that you have for me? Yes, please.
So we're looking at getting windows done in our house, but I don't know if we can afford to do the whole place at once. Are there priority areas that we should look at? And we have a 2-story house, so is the second story more vulnerable than the first story?
Great question. I get that a lot. Here's the answer I have for him. One is any window and any opening could be vulnerable. So whether it's first floor or second floor, again, the negative pressure is what's going to do the damage in a hurricane, along with the rainstorm when it comes in after the hurricane. So if a window is breached, okay, there could be much more damage than you really thought you could account for if you were just doing select windows. So what happens is you're going to strengthen some windows and the other windows are going to be jeopardized, and the integrity of those windows could break later on. So I highly recommend that financially there's a couple ways we could solve that. One is if you wanted to do it in phases, that's great, but there's not one window I'd attack first other than one that may be failing. I'd really recommend doing the whole home. If you're not able to do it, then we could do it in sections. But we also offer financing to help bridge that gap. So we do have financial programs, and a salesperson would gladly explain that to you, but we have the ability to help offset that burden and that expense on the front end. But I'll tell you this, you'll be pleased with it because you always recoup most of your money. You get your money back when you put in impact windows. Raises the value of your home. Your energy efficiency bill drops. But again, with you, sir, I would highly recommend we evaluate the whole home. If we needed to do it in phases for you, then that's possible. But I'll let you know, the integrity of the top window, the bottom window, the back window, no one can predict where the hurricane's going to throw the roof tile or the 2x4 at your next window. Yes, sir.
Does it have any insurance impact either up or down?
So that's a great question. Typically, I cannot speak for the reduction that you're going to get in your home. However, I will tell you that most insurance companies will go to a wind mitigation company and they'll ask for them to come out and do an assessment on your home when you do the impact windows. And I've seen anywhere from 10% to 47% reduction in your home insurance because of the protection that the impact windows will do. Condominiums is about 18 to 28%, and single family homes I've seen up to 45% reduction in the home protection when you do that. And a wind mitigation company costs about $100 to get that inspection done. It's certification that goes to your insurance company, so one of the bigger companies, and then after that, you'll go ahead and experience the reduction in your insurance. Okay? Yes, sir.
If you go to this system, am I correct in assuming you don't have to put up hurricane shutters?
That's a great question too. Some people have hurricane shutters and they'll leave them just for that extra protection. But I have a condominium on the 4th floor, and it's nice to know that I don't have to worry about putting hurricane shutters up or pulling the accordion shutters when I leave. My windows are protected and we are fine to leave the area. If aesthetically wise, sometimes it looks a lot nicer to take those down. Part of our package, we will remove those. It's a small nominal fee, but we have to repair and repatch, usually the stucco or the concrete. Some people say, Frank, I really like to leave those, just an added security. But here's the thing too, is when you're pulling them tight, pulling them shut, sometimes they don't operate the way they do. So there's a myth about that. If you feel like you'd like to have them for an added protection, that's great. But we typically remove them 85, 90% of the time. We remove them, and nobody's ever been dissatisfied that we remove them. Okay? Anyone else? Yes, sir.
You passed around some samples, and it had the tint. You don't have to do the tint. Right?
No, sir. And here's the thing about that. Yeah, that's what the product specialists will get into, is there's actually different variations of the glass. You have a clear, gray tint, bronze tint, even a low E, and we can explain that later on. But those are the different variations of the glass. And it really depends on the particular person, what they're trying to accomplish, whether they want to have someone from the curb appeal to be able to see through the home or not see through the home, or the visualization if you want to see your beautiful $1 million view of the lake in the back. So you may want to have a clear view there. So different things. Or the sun hitting it. Some people we have the reflective covering on there, which is the low E, to keep the sun from the room that may be getting really hot. And that's what the variations are in the colors. I've had some people have clear, tint, and a low E. All three of the types of coatings on a home. Okay? Anyone else?
Do those windows also, can you get them also in thermal paint, dual layers?
So now that's getting into the insulated glass, and that's a two-part system with an argon in between, and yes, that's correct. We do sell an insulated glass. We have an impact glass one. It's a monolithic glass or the impact glass. So it could be an insulated glass, which is a two-part system with a argon gas in the middle, and that's the higher energy efficiency.
So the structural glass is on the outside, and the interior is just normal glass. Or
Not correct.
not correct.
So here's the thing with the insulated glass. They call it a sacrificial piece of glass. It's doing its job to actually break it. So
Correct.
tempered piece of glass, then you have your argon gas for the insulation, then you'll have the impact so that no shrapnel or shrapnels would ever come into the home. So the sacrificial piece of glass and an insulated glass is on the
Goes on the
exterior.
inside.
Yeah. Now, some people will recommend, Frank, what would you recommend? If you're in a high rise or you have a second story, I would recommend the monolithic glass, the heat strengthened glass. I would not necessarily recommend having an insulated piece of glass on a second floor or a condominium for that reason. If it did get struck, it wouldn't break. And typically, you really don't need that reduction in the energy in a home like that. All right, thank you so much.
Good job.
That makes sense.